Yo, what's up?
Welcome back
to Bums Talk Bass. We are here.
We're
I'm not gonna say that on a recorded line or Zubris. So what's going on, fellas? Any fishing updates lately? I know there's zero fishing updates from Brennan because he's not about it, but whatever.
It happens.
I have one fishing update, and I'm not gonna make a stunt this time. I went bass fishing in Pennsylvania for 20 minutes this week, and I had the time of my life until this happened. I now have a 7.5 foot Adrena heavy. So I'm excited
for the recent order.
What's that?
Is that the reason for the order the other day?
Yeah, no, so that's why that happened. So this is the old generation here, right? And the old generation was a favorite. It was a cult classic, but look how it was peeling.
That's how my Zodiases are.
It's not great. They start to delaminate. The new generation, I know, fixed that. And people rave about the new generation. And that's what's coming in through the replacement program. So I'm excited to get my hands on that. And I am also excited on the hands of Bassin, because we might have a little BTB live action reunion coming live at you this week.
Uh-huh.
A little prequel. I know that I'm already signed up and locked in for it. But the comrades above us, we have finally the Chesapeake Bay is fishing like the Chesapeake Bay. And I am shaking with excitement.
Do you have to sign up beforehand, or can I just show up?
No, you show up to the ramp and you grab a marble.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So just show up, Brennan.
I can just pay at the ramp.
I've struck
I
out
think
partners.
you only pay at the ramp.
How much is
random. Yeah.
So there's no way to even like pay early?
I don't think so. No, I think they want everybody to just grab a marble there.
Okay.
What's the entrance fee?
There's three. There's it's 130 base, and then 120 and then another 20 or 30 for a lunker. I think it's 175 total because they have the base, they have lunker, and then they have a side pot, which is if you're the winner of the side pot pool, you get that money as well. And then there's also hashtag shout out side pot fishing is also involved in that too. So
Of course.
you can just dump all your money and then lose to some guy that threw a chatterbait one more time than you. Hopefully it's me.
It's probably going to be me. I throw a chatterbait a lot of times.
Oh no, I might throw it one more time than you.
I don't know.
But that's going to be a fun little recap on next week's episode. I'm excited to just go to really pick each other's brains on what happened. Or what happened this Sunday, So
I might just have to pull up by myself and win it solo. More money for myself anyways.
Drag Jared out.
Jared can't. I already tried his ass. I struck out of 3 straight people in a row.
Did you try
Nicholas
ZZ Pop?
No? Did Nicholas say no?
Oh no, that's my next one. Going to Nicholas. I was trying to get some of the Potter, Jared, Holman.
My next guess was going to be Holman.
Yeah.
Of course,
Brendan's
Potter,
away.
Mr. Please Take Me Fishing says no when you actually ask him.
I know.
You're gonna have that on these bigger jobs.
You will get that on these jobs. You have those kind of jobs a lot.
I'm excited to just lean on him because those weights look stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, 26 pounds one.
Yeah, I don't know what the moon we're having, if it's going to be as stellar, but they're there.
I just it's officially gotten to the time of year where I know where to go, and I'm just gonna go up there, chuck it around. Maybe I catch them, maybe I don't, but it's kind of just
who knows?
If it lines up, it lines up. That's how it is. I'm excited because I've just been I've been going to the literal torture machine every time I've been there, just fighting whatever demons exist in that body of water.
Sunday looks like a nice day. It doesn't look like it's gonna be windy.
It
looks like nice, sunny.
Stop.
Hey, the long term, this is looking all right.
The fish hate that though.
Yeah, they want it nasty
last week when it was nasty and gross, they were absolutely munching. And then from starting on like Friday until now, the weather has been like perfect and beautiful, and the fishing has sucked.
Yeah. Hopefully we get a nice front coming through for the weekend.
But I mean,
Saturday.
The reason I was working until 8 p.m. tonight was so that I got all my jobs done. And I'm gonna go fishing all day tomorrow. So
where you going?
There you go. So
where you going?
Lake X?
Lake Y.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
doing
like shooting fish in a barrel in Lake X.
I'm so excited to, be
as the guy who's never been to Lake X. He has no idea.
I've been to Lake X.
Oh, wait, you did go to Lake X.
I went once.
on the worst in January.
And we still caught fish in January.
Yeah, I taught you boys a lesson that day.
I'm so excited to start my 14-hour shift at the ball crushing factory tomorrow and just watch Alex on Snap just absolutely. Oh man!
But the real question is,
today really sucks.
Will Alex bring his GoPro and record any of it for a video? We'll find out.
Well, so I actually set up, had all my batteries charged, had an SD card, and had the GoPro running for the tournament this weekend. But after about an hour of not catching anything, I gave up on that, and like any form of fish catching content that would have happened later in the day, the GoPro was already long gone by then.
Oh, you hate to see
it. Because I remember via last pod hearing words along the line of, if I don't win, I'm going to kill myself.
But he's still here.
You're still here.
I'm still here. Listen, the word
what
win.
Happened?
Listen, the word win is fluid. Win didn't necessarily mean first place. I did win lunker. And despite how poorly I performed compared to my expectations, I still came in third and got lunker somehow. That's how horrible the fishing was.
What did Holman have? He won, right?
Holman had like 12 pounds in one.
Attaboy, Holman.
Dude, nobody caught anything. It was horrible. That's what I was saying, was like the weather got good. Like, dude, the water was 6 degrees warmer.
Jesus.
It was beautiful and warm. It was still kind of windy, but like less windy. And it was just like, dude, so remember how last week we kind of touched on it briefly, but I was like talking about how I was watching some of them on LiveScope.
Yeah.
And like that day last week when I caught 24.5 pounds, it was ridiculous. Every time I saw a fish, like if I saw it, I was going to catch it. And this weekend during the tournament, they were all still there, bro. Like blobs, like megas. I knew they were giants. They were on the same ledge, and I would throw my jerkbait over top of them, and I'd twitch it, and they would follow it all the way to the boat and just would never touch it, dude. And I switched sizes. I switched colors. Dude, I threw every jerkbait I had in my box at them, and they would follow it every time.
Did you wiggle your minnow?
Dude, I tried the minnow. They wouldn't touch it. I tried a little 2.8. They wouldn't touch. The only thing they would even follow was a jerkbait. They wouldn't even follow anything else. And dude, so I'm not kidding. So, you know the big point there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. I'm talking to Brennan. And you know how down the ways there's that dock?
Yeah.
That one single dock that's sticking out?
Yeah.
I scope one off the end of the point, right? And the wind is blowing like straight at the point towards the dock. So I'm angled into the wind. I throw up on the side of the point. One follows it off like a mega dude, 4 or 5 pounder at least, big giant blob. I can tell. And he's chasing it, and I'm just twitching it, and he's following it, and the wind is blowing me backwards. So I just let it keep blowing the boat backwards and keep twitching it so that like I don't bring the bait too close to the boat. Like I'm not reeling in at all. I'm switching up my retrieve, and now we're out in open water. He's following. Dude, I blew backwards past the dock, and he followed it the entire way and never
just
ate
swimming.
it. For reference, Zub, this is like 150 yards probably.
No, I get your drift.
Yeah.
You know that's illegal in a Bassmaster Elite Series tournament. If you were with the NGA Nation, I'd actually protest the next tournament because that's cheating. You're back trolling.
He's just drifting.
Back trolling.
Shut up. Dude, it was
that's insane.
It was a nation-affiliated derby, so that third place has been revoked.
Well, no, because I see what you mean on that, and you think that
it.
after you think sometimes when you're skittish and they don't want to react and they don't want to commit, maybe sometimes they just need that extra 5-10 yards. But when they're still interested in not committing, it just reminds me of my love life. Like it's not great.
Because that happened. Well, that happened to me on the 24-pound day. I had like a 4.5 pounder eat it at the trolling motor. Like he followed it all the way off, and I'm like leaning over the front of the boat, like twitching it to the side,
trying to give it one more,
like
just trying to get it off,
like borderline about to start figure eighting it, and he eats it right at the like he bit it. I set the hook, and he hit his head on the trolling motor, like
Jesus.
But dude, they would not eat it, and they would not eat it, and I knew they were giants, and I fish around the whole. I eventually, dude, I sat on that spot for like 4 hours.
Oh God,
because I was seeing, dude. I had to have.
If you're seeing them, you're never gonna leave them. You know,
I had to have 30 fish follow me to the boat. I threw everything at them.
Did you throw
the kitchen sink?
Everything at them?
No.
Yeah. Did you throw a wacky rig Senko at him?
Yes.
Yes,
I did.
All right. They're not
That's everything. That's everything.
Dude, I would have them follow the jerkbait all the way to the boat, and then they'd turn around and start swimming away. I'd reel my jerkbait up, throw it down, pick up the Senko, throw it at them. It'd start falling when they're going back up, and they'd follow it all the way down to the bottom, and I'm just...
I'd be so mad.
And he's sitting there. He's sitting there on the bottom, just... Senko's right here.
I love the visual.
And then I go, and he'd go.
It makes you wonder on days like that, because like they're clearly showing interest. You know,
they're
like,
overstimulated.
Yeah. Like
they're not in that active feeding.
But so then after those 4 hours of sitting on it, I'm like, screw this. I start fishing around the rest of the lake. Get a couple of bites, nothing special. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe the feeding window opened up in the afternoon. I'm going back. So I troll back across the lake. It's a trolling motor only lake. So, you know, we're doing at
20 minutes.
At 2:30. I get there. I have like a half hour. And like first cast, one follows it out, doesn't eat it. I'm like, oh boy. Second cast, one follows it out, doesn't eat it. Third cast, one follows it out, doesn't eat it. And I'm like, geez, are they going to do this all day? Fourth cast, he follows it out, and he's just sitting there staring at it. Like he's so on it that you can't see the bait.
They're not even separated.
He's right on it, and I'm just holding it there. And he's not moving. The jerkbait's not moving. And I go, and I feel, tick. I'm like, oh my God. And then straight up with one back hook in his bottom lip, jumps a 5-pounder, shakes off. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So then I fish for like 10 more minutes. I have another one follow my jerkbait out, and he turns around. He starts swimming back up. As he starts swimming back up, I spin around. I pick up a crankbait. I fire it over his head. 2 turns of the handle. Boom.
Smokes it.
Smokes it. set the hook. He's got it down his throat. You can't even see it.
Jesus.
And I'm like,
It's
what?
like just
Now,
that
mind
one.
you, this is not a crankbait I just picked up. I've been throwing it all day long. It's the only
Yeah.
way. And it was almost 5 pounder. It was a 414 or something like that.
Jeez.
And that wound up being the lunker of the tournament. And then I didn't have any more time, and I had to go. So
Makes you wonder.
I was
It
right
makes
that
you
those
really
fish
wonder.
there all day, like they were giants. I was right, and I knew they were there. I just couldn't get them to
Do
eat.
anything.
It's just, it wasn't even like a window thing. It's, you got the one, you just tricked them pretty much. I mean, you got the one fired up enough with that crankbait. But did you try that cadence again? That pause and just get one to follow it out and just blow on it.
I mean, the have one followed out and then have him swim back and throw something at him. I mean, it wasn't always a crankbait. It was a lot of, but I did that 100 times that day.
Yeah.
I would throw a jig at him. I'd throw, like I said, a stupid Senko at him. I'd throw a Nico rig at him. I'd throw a minnow at him. I'd throw a 2.8 at him.
What crank?
It was a
Strike
King chick magnet.
Big chick magnet. Big chick guy. What's the new one that Mark
Should've-
Menendez put his blood and soul into?
They were crushing that crankbait the week before.
Oh, that's a good crank.
Should have thrown a Binsky. Just
Hardliner.
Binsky in their faces.
That's the one. You see that one out?
No, I haven't.
It's like a chick magnet. It's another flat-sided balsa bait. I don't know if it's smaller. I think it's the Strike King take on the Blink 55.
For reference of how he ate it.
He hated it. Didn't want it.
Yeah.
You snagged him. That was pure coincidence.
After literally nothing wanting to touch anything all day.
Wild.
Unreal. Well, you'll get that on those big jobs.
But
I don't know. Fish don't make sense sometimes. I swear. Sometimes they're just maybe they're still sore mouth from the week before.
Speaking of fish that don't make sense, I wanted to talk about, considering we have Hartwell coming up, I wanted to talk with our local blueback lake expert,
Mr. Jason Zubris.
So he's definitely not an expert, but he definitely has by far the most experience out of the three of us. And it's one of those things where it's like, obviously it's a weak point because they just like don't exist where we live. But
Right.
I've traveled around quite a bit. I've fished a lot of different fisheries. I used to live in Florida. I've done a lot of stuff. I feel like that's probably the biggest gap in my game. I mean, I fished cur before, which is technically,
Right.
I guess, a
It's
blueback.
growing. It's getting there. They're present, but they're not entirely dialed on it. But
what I was
During-
doing was
Oh.
not. But what I was doing was
No.
not bluebacky at all. I was fishing super shallow, so I've never really done like the full-fledged blueback thing. Which, by the way, Smith Mountain Lake is also turning into a blueback lake now. I don't know
It
if you
is.
guys do that. But yeah, so I'm hearing that there's a lot of different things going on at Hartwell right now, where
Oh, yeah.
there's still fish off, there's fish pushing up, but there's also a bit of a blueback spawn going on, which is weird because usually that's like
now,
they're doing it just when the fish are pushing up on beds, when usually that like kind of happens after. But
right.
Is the blueback spawn like? Isn't that? I mean, do they do it on a specific temperature, kind of, or is it like?
It's usually like, and this is a
Timing.
wildly renowned thought that, temperature is one thing, but at the end of the day, the fish go off a clock, in my opinion, and this is not just my opinion, this is kind of a base thing. It's based off the light and the moon more than anything. If they're getting enough light, that's going to warm the water up enough. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That light, no matter what time of the year it is, how hot outside it is, how cold outside it is, if you're getting that increased light, you're going to get enough of a warmth and enough of a warming trend for these fish to realize that it's a stable enough condition for them to reproduce their young and just do whatever the heck they do.
And don't bluebacks go like for a while? Like they'll keep going.
They do. Well, they go all night, bluebacks. It's mainly that's the number one, thing with the shad spawn that people don't realize. They think, oh, it's only an early morning thing. No, they go all night, especially bluebacks. It's really, it's a nighttime event. I mean, getting it on at night, it's just how it goes. But you're saying, for our northern guys that, we don't have blueback around here. Alewife are very, very similar behavior to the bluebacks.
Do
They're,
you feel
the
that
same
way?
family. What's that?
Do you feel that way?
In ways, I think that they have similar spawning habitats. They have similar profiles.
Zoop, take me
it's
through.
a size thing at the end of the day, and
Because I'm pretty dialed in on the alewife thing.
Well, you should be fine with this. But the main difference is when a fish are on the herring, they're only on the herring. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's like the focus of all of them. That's all those fish do is hunt and stalk those same herring. Whereas with the alewife, they're kind of more versatile. It's not the only, only thing in the rotation.
There are populations that will get on that with alewives for sure.
Oh, correct. Absolutely for sure. But it's not as, as keyed in. Like these fish are so keyed, like a Lake Murray herring bite, a Hartwell herring bite.
Or, what makes a herring bite?
A Champlain Candlewood alewife concentration.
What do you think makes them more specific to that versus the alewives on Champlain? Just because the population of the herring on Hartwell is just so much more compared to like a Champlain alewife, or just like what makes it so much more dialed?
I think it comes down to the lake. I think it comes down to the way that the lake's built. It gives them, the forage base in the lake itself. Because another thing that people don't talk about on Hartwell too, there's going to be a large amount of fish out there on the herring spawn, but there's also a brim spawn that there's going to be a lot of major fish playing off that as well. But dialing back onto the herring bite, it's just more when I feel like when you have such a dominant forage that's very easy to track down. And when you have, your spotted bass, your major largemouth that are, very used to schooling behaviors and can track that down. And plus the herring are just such a high protein, you know what I mean? They're good. It's like a freaking lobster.
That's the thing. I've had this discussion about the herring with a lot of people. And one of the things that always confuses me is like, you always hear the difficulty with the bluebacks is that they're like by far the fastest moving in this like bait fish category. Like they're cooking, which has always confused me as like, why do they prefer like in a situation like Kerr where it looks like they're starting to prefer the bluebacks, but there's also threadfins everywhere.
There's like so much threadfin that they could gorge on threadfin. Yeah. You could see
why do they prefer to chase the one that's harder to catch?
I feel like from a biology perspective, they just go because it's going to give them more calorie per herring. You know what I mean? They don't have to,
I've heard a lot of people. I've had a lot of people say to me like, I think they might just like taste better. Like it doesn't like.
No, that's all.
Bass just like them. Like it doesn't really make sense.
A more fulfilling meal for them, and they know that.
They just get so like anywhere where bluebacks are introduced, the bass gets so unbelievably keyed in on them, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Then it does.
Yeah, apparently,
I wonder if they're more targetable for them. It's like the way they group, the way they like, just the way that they like. Is it easy? Not, like they're fast, but maybe it's just the way they set up is easier for them to be. Like I'm thinking like maybe a more packed, dense school versus a spread out like smaller schools.
See, in my limited experience on LiveScope with them, which is really just at Kerr in like one creek watching spotted bass chase them. It seems to be the exact opposite. Like the threadfins are in these big like circular balls and they're not really going anywhere. And then the bluebacks are in like strips and they're going 800 miles an hour.
So like, that just makes it even more.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. It's always seemed odd to me because it seems like out of all the options they have, bluegills, craws, shad, other bait fish, like they just seem like by far the most difficult one to try to go after, and they still want to do it.
I think it comes down to the higher protein, probably from a biological aspect. But I think it also could somehow trigger some type of instinctual thing when they're in that deeper water, when they're in that schooling behavior, when you have that competition element with the bass. Mm-hmm. When everybody else is chasing the stick, they're going to chase the stick too.
Yeah. I've also heard an interesting thing, because like how you brought up like that there's going to be a bluegill spawn factor here too.
Right.
So obviously it seems like there tends to be less / maybe a little more inconsistent fishing for fish on a bluegill spawn versus a chasing bluebacks, but you have a better chance of like getting a really big fish on a bluegill spawn, because like these herring fish, I think, and I've heard this before a few times, I think out of just necessity of how much they have to move and how many calories they're burning a day chasing these bluebacks, they kind of like max out in size on a lot of these lakes. Like you're not gonna like you catch a lot of like really good quality fit like 3+ pounders on bluebacks, but when you start getting close to 5 pounds, that's kind of like the biggest they can really get when they're keyed in on bluebacks, it seems like. Whereas like, I don't know, in my experience up here at least, and I'm sure it's similar wherever you go, in my opinion, and I don't know this to be fact, it's just what I've gathered, 80 to 90% of the time, the biggest fish in your lake are bluegill eaters.
I mean, they're just bigger, more.
Well, they don't have to be agile. They don't have to move. They could just be lethargic. You know,
sitting behind a corner when a bluegill pops by, and
be that ambush style predator, whereas you're that schooling style predator.
Yeah, I mean, like bluegill's got to be like. Have you ever noticed how like unbelievably not afraid a bluegill is of a bass? Like a giant bass will just like swim through a school of bluegill and they just like don't even move. And then he'll just like turn around and pop one, and his friends will be like, "Oh, shoot!" And then they sit there for a second, and then they're like, "Okay."
Well, you see, I feel like that's like the whole like, I don't know. This is where like nature isn't like a computer program, but like, you know, nature is like, you know, this sense of harmony, and the bass are in charge of keeping that sense of harmony. And when, you know, you probably didn't notice it, but that bluegill might have been like, you know, just like twitching a little bit, or that bluegill could have been showing, you know, that urge to get away, and just that triggered that bass's fight or flight response to go engage that bluegill. And that's where you can take huge advantage of in a bluegill spawn situation.
Like when those bass are chasing those bluebacks, those bluebacks are moving at 1,000 miles an hour to get away from them. But then you get your jig stuck up on a dock, right? And you go up to the dock to shake it off, and you look at that dock piling, and there's 10 bluegills and 1 3-pound bass just sitting there, just hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
Like,
because they only need to eat a bluegill once every other couple days versus, you know, and just sit there on that post. And
but the
bluegill are just like,
making,
maybe today's not the day.
The point I'm making, which is kind of what Zub was saying before, the caloric burn of a bluegill eating bass is probably not super high.
Yeah.
They just kind of hang out until they get hungry again, and then they're like, all right, I'll just go pop one real quick.
Basically.
You also have to remember we're talking about two different elements here. Like, are we talking about herring fishing in general, or are we just talking about herring during the spawn? During their spawn, because that's two totally different elements.
Well, yeah, for sure, but
we got herring during the spawn for Hartwell,
kind of,
but yeah, like around it-ish.
They might be. I mean, I haven't seen. You know, we'll see what we see on live, but I'm just going off things I've heard. I've heard they're doing it a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean a little bit. Like the main thing that we were talking about at the beginning of this little segment is that they do the thing all night, and then when you're lucky, that fizzles off in the morning. And that's a weird thing when it's only happening a little bit, because it won't affect the rest of the lake. When you're full-fledged herring spawn, the lake's dead. No, the lake's dead for good reason, because those fish are gorging all night, and your large populations of bass that are dialed in on that herring are gorging on those herring until they stop spawning, and then they are so dang full that they're going to pull off, the nearest nearby structure, but they're not going to go far. But they're not going to want to eat either to be, in that steady state. They're not going to be in that actively feeding state because they're full, and they're just going to hang out there until the dinner bell rings tomorrow night.
Yeah,
and that's just a common thing with any type of shad spawn that you have going on, especially in a herring spawn. But then sometimes with the herring spawn, they actually will have that secondary window where they'll pull off, and then when the herring are schooling out in the middle, that just triggers that instinct again, and then you could go after those schooling fish. Yeah. Especially when you're with spots. That's where my expertise kind of goes down the drain a little bit. I'm not a big spotted bass fisherman. I know the principles, I know the basics, I've done it. But I live in Pennsylvania.
I've caught like 5 spots in my entire life, I think.
Now,
there's so much.
I've spotted bass
cool.
fished a few times. Mostly on Lake Norman, where like they're not giant. But I'd say there's 2 chapters to my spotted bass fishing, which was spotted bass fishing before live scope, where I had no clue what was going on and just like could not catch them, to spotted bass fishing after live scope, where it's like, if you like, they're like even more crackhead than smallmouth. Like if you find them and put something in his face, like they just eat it like every time. Like, and I'm sure that's not true everywhere.
No,
I'm sure it gets tough at times, but in my experience, like at Kerr and at Norman, it was like the hardest thing was just like finding them. Like if I found a group of spotted bass, like they could not get to the bait fast enough.
But they weren't the big ones. Like the biggest one you've ever caught in that situation was probably like 2.5 pounds.
I caught one like 3 something once.
3-ish. But I mean, for those places that you're fishing, Norman, Bugs Island, Kerr, whatever you want to call it, that's as big as they get.
They're getting bigger on Kerr now.
They are getting bigger. I did catch a 410 spot out of the tracker. Actually, it was wild at the fall bugs tournament, just bombing a spook at the Abyssal Stripers. I was just crashing out.
Blake showed me these guys who had 19 pounds the other day on bugs, all spots.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I playing?
That fishery's changing a lot, but
I'm excited to see how that place changes because it's changing for the better.
It was really good, and then it got tough, and then lately the numbers have been up, but the size wasn't up. But those numbers are starting to mature and grow bigger now. So I think that lake is primed in the next 2 to 3 years to get really, really good.
I'm very upset. None of my Penn State kids can go. They all did dip. Very disappointing.
What are you talking about?
Oh, really? Anthony's not going?
Anthony's partner couldn't make it, and so I guess Anthony's not going to go now. His partner can't get out of class. Other guys, like the professors aren't letting them go. Because it's the week before, it's project week, and the professors are like, you either come to class for your project or you fail. Fucking tournament.
I feel like Alan's failing.
I guess that's one of the advantages of going to Ramapo.
Yeah. I'm very excited for, however, they announced, this is entirely off topic, but I'm just going to announce it because it's really fun. They've announced a 2025 and a 2026 college qualifier in the same year. For some reason, they're getting them both in the same year. I guess that's the way through the State Nation Trail.
Makes sense.
And now, hopefully, I will have a big reunion of all of the college dropouts on the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
in July,
she is.
With the tracker. I am so excited for that.
I won't be there.
You should not be there.
I won't.
Don't come.
I absolutely won't.
Dude,
I have heard, and Brennan was present for this conversation.
There's some juice out there.
I have heard it's getting good.
Oh, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. No, it's fun. But like, here's the thing: it's
got
fun, not where they're launching us out of. A pull down, and a pull up, and a pull over. It's fun. Why they're sending us out of downtown Pittsburgh, not so fun.
I got some dots near the Berg.
You got some dots near the Dirty Berg?
I got some dots near the Berg. I got a dot of a grass bed that apparently a tournament was won with 18.5 pounds.
Huh.
right near the Berg.
Man, how much is that worth to you, Zoom?
Yeah. How much is that worth to you, Mini Martin?
I don't know. How much is this worth to you?
Pretty much nothing. Pretty much nothing.
Fair. But it could be.
Mini Martin. Terrible.
So we don't want to dive into.
Wait. Hang on, real quick. I don't want to talk about this at any length at all, but I need to bring it up. Did you guys listen to the Zona Tommy podcast this week?
No,
I haven't listened.
Or the Matt Herron LBL live either. That was.
I didn't listen to that either. But I do want to listen to that really bad.
We'll talk about that.
But Zona talked about Scotty Boy at length.
Oh no!
And bro, filter off Zona is great because he does still have a filter on. He says his filter's off. It's not, but it's more off than it used to be. He just has a really great way of letting you know what his opinion is without like actually like totally saying it. You know what I mean? And they discussed the Scott Martin situation. He told the story. He said when the merger was happening, right, when everybody left, and the Elite Series had to bring in a few anglers via invite, which they've never done before, but they had to bring some guys in to fill the field. So they invited a few FLW guys, and Zona said when they did that, he called an employee of FLW to ask about some anglers before they sent them invites. And he said that FLW employee greenlit every name Zona brought up except for
Scotty Boy.
Four people. Four people. For different reasons. Two of them were the Johnston brothers. And he said not for anything sketchy, not for anything cheating. He said they're honest guys, this, that, and the other. But he said they're a little aggressive and kind of dickheads on the water. So it depends on if you want to deal with that yet. And then Zona goes, which, I mean, they've proven that that's true. And then he goes, the second one is a guy I won't name.
Boyd Duckett.
It was Jeff Sprague. And he said, it's funny because that prophecy came true. He fished with MLF and he's been disqualified for multiple tournaments. Probably shouldn't even be fishing anymore. So I know he was talking about Jeff Sprague. He didn't say his name, though. Yeah. And then he said, and the third guy was Scott. And he kind of just stopped, and then he went, we didn't give Scott an invite.
Yeah, you're right, because he...
What blows my mind is people forget that Scott was pretty dominant with the FLW Cup. He won that shit. He did good. He was really good when FLW was at its prime. Now, I'm realizing this. Did Scott fish MLF after the merger?
Scott also did not get an MLF invite.
Right, because I don't remember, because I can't remember seeing him in the initial MLF.
And Zona said, Andy, they talked on the phone when he told Scott he wasn't going to be getting an invite to the Elite Series. And Scott said, okay, well, I'm just going to have to go qualify through the Opens then, won't I? And he immediately did that. So Zona was like, respect for that. You know, he did it and got in and all that. But, you know, he said, listen, Scott's been great to work with. He's like, I like Scott. He's been awesome on the Elite Series, this, that, and the other. But There's a long history of this with this guy. People have been saying it throughout his whole time in FLW, and we know how the old FLW tour was. I mean, they covered up Tony Christian, right? Nobody was getting in trouble for nothing on the old FLW tour.
Yeah.
For our viewers at home,
back in the good old days.
What happened with Tony Christian?
Tony Christian, you know this story, right? He's a guy who kind of popped up out of nowhere and just like nobody had ever heard of him, and he just instantly started winning tournament. I think they were called the Everstarts back then, what is now the Toyotas. Yeah. He won a few of those. He got into the FLW tour. I think he won a BFL All-American too. And he got into the FLW tour and like just started immediately winning FLW tour tournaments. Like, long story short, he fished like 10 FLW tournaments ever and won like 7 of them.
Not sketchy at all.
And so they were trying to figure out what was going on. There's actually footage of him like in FLW tour events, like catching fish on camera. But there's one clip out there that you can find that is strange. But anyway, they were trying to figure out what's going on. And a story I had heard about it was that a co-angler had went to the FLW staff and was like, listen, I don't know what he's doing or how he's doing it, but he has to be cheating. And they go, what do you mean? So basically what I've heard, and I don't know for sure if any of this is true, because like I said, FLW covered the whole thing up. The guy disappeared. You never heard a peep about it. Nothing. They just, whoop, Tony Christian's gone. Oh, nothing to see here. So the co-angler said that they went out fishing. They were fishing a grass flat early in the morning. He's throwing a trap around, and he catches a couple fish early in the morning, like some 2.5 pounders, and just unhooks them, throws them right back. It's like he's got 0 fish in the live well, and he goes, we're going to catch ones bigger than that. And he goes, listen. I understand the confidence in that and everything, but like nobody does that.
No, that's crazy.
Nobody.
Well, you're fishing for a paycheck unless there's a guarantee.
Yeah, nobody does. So they're out there fishing. And then he goes, all right, let's go. Middle of the day, he's got no fish in the live well now. Pulls up on a dock, flips a 1-ounce jig on the front left dock pole over and over and over again, and catches 5 giants off the same dock pole.
You'd think he would mix in some smaller fish to make things a little like less sketch.
And then they go in. So the guy tells FLW staff that, and what they do is the next morning, again, this is all allegedly, this is a story I've heard. I don't know if this is true. Some guys from FLW go to the dock where supposedly he was, and they hide in the bushes. And they watch Tony pull up, pluck 5 fish off of that dock piling, and pull away. And then when Tony pulls away, they go up to that dock piling, and at the base of that dock piling is a big, giant, clear container with a cut-out one-way lid filled with big bass.
How do you get them out, though? Like, if it's a one-way lid, how's he pulling them out?
I don't know.
Has to have like a hard spring, so it's enough when he wrenches it out, it pops open. But then
here's the thing, right? So he's throwing he's throwing this big stupid 1-ounce jig apparently all the time, like, and that was the thing. He always was winning on the same jig. He was always winning it off a dock, like, it was always the same kind of MO.
He won an All-American.
Yep.
There's the man himself.
And so it had to be a thing where like he had to, put a heavier bait on it, I guess, for this lid, for it to open and then fall in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just like it was kind of just like sitting there and he was just relying on the bass like not figuring it out and being able to escape. Like maybe he put like 1 billion fish in there and it was just like maybe 1 or 2 will get out, but probably most of them will like stay in there. I don't know, because nobody's ever seen what the contraption looks like. I mean, this guy might have worked. I mean, this is big money on the line. He might have worked with an engineer and was splitting the money with him, and they came up with this crazy contraption. Nobody's ever seen it.
I mean, I could see like a plexiglass container, and then you have like a small slit, like say the size of like, you guys can't tell, but like this box. This is an area you can hit with a jig.
Oh yeah.
But same way a fish can't come out, and you have your 1 ounce jig, and it goes in, and this is open, and you're just dangling it there. And these bass, I guess, are just so starved, or that Uncle Josh's pork is just looking that good.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
That's the interesting part
about the one Tony Christian clip that I've seen that you can find on the internet. The fish he catches is like 23 inches long and this skinny.
Yeah.
Like it's thin as a rail. So it's like,
and I think he starved him.
Yeah, because like you also have to
hook it in
the fish is eating it. He's hooking them in the mouth. So it's not like he's just dropping it in there and snagging them. So he must like starve them for a while so that whatever drops in there, they eat it.
Yeah.
Because this
it's crazy to be catching that many fish.
Dude. Its head was like this, but it was this thin.
That's insane, dude. To be able to go out and catch that many fish beforehand, to box them up, also crazy.
I mean, he probably had like a local farm pond that was like loaded, and he would get them.
Yeah, well, that's how some people have gotten
really quick.
I'm
looking
because
for
the fish
clip,
look
right?
so different.
Look at prime vintage JT Kenny.
Beast.
That's
beast.
Damn.
He's a beast. Still is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a clip of him cheating.
But no, that's besides the point. Well, anyway, not to go on a tangent, goes on 30-minute tangent.
Yeah.
What's something we want to talk about really quick before Hartwell, before we really dive into the old? Because we've been yapping.
I mean, I don't know. You want to just do it?
Well, let's talk about really quick about maybe one last thing. Some baits that we think we're going to see at Hartwell. Because, I like thinking about, we have the pre-spawn. We're, heavy pre-spawn, lowest spawn. But
I have a crazy one.
Yeah.
A jig head minnow.
Whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah. Just saying.
I think we're going to see some flukes, maybe. Some flukes and spooks.
Likely.
Maybe, you think we'll see any of this at all? I don't think so.
I do.
A little bit.
I mean, if that's what they choose to throw on a bed, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going
to... No, I mean...
We're going to see some Sankos.
Flukes?
I think we're going to see a lot of shaky worm type action.
Shaky worm.
I think that'll
What are we... little glider action.
I also...
McKinney's going to throw the boss around and catch an 8.
I think, and this is my prediction. We're going to see a Japanese or a Japanese adjacent angler throwing some type of strange Japanese.
Are we gonna unlock a new freaking character? Is a new special character going to be unlocked this week?
we are going to see some strange Japanese bluegill imitation in the top 10.
The Jimmy Henge Ultra came out last week, so I think we're going to see that. I hope
wild contraption.
We see it have some bluegills and bluegill friends involved, like a little morsel like that. Come on. You ever throw one of these around?
They look nice.
That is the type of bait that you pick up in the tackle shop and you're like, this thing is sick. They're going to crush it.
And you
And
never throw it.
Ever catch a fish on it.
You've never thrown like a Ganarelle or a Ganarelle Jr. on bluegill beds.
I
I have one of the big ones.
You don't like it?
I've never caught a fish on it.
You know, you ever put a 5/8 ounce tungsten on the little nose ring there?
No.
Oh no, I'm eating your children.
Yeah, and then
I'll throw it again this year.
Yeah, and then he's got 2 treble hooks on the side of his face, and you got to put him back.
Yeah.
What do you mean put him back? You mean put him back in the cooler?
No, listen. I will only throw like a glide or a big swim bait like that on a bed when I'm like, it's a last ditch effort and I'm like absolutely desperate. Like, I would rather it take 10, 15 more minutes for me to get bit on a regular bait and know for a fact that it's in the mouth than like risk that. Because what if I throw that, he gets hooked in the side of the face, I got to put him back, and now he doesn't bite again. Like, if I'm about,
I see now. I see what you're saying on that. Okay, for legality reasons, I see. Okay,
like if I'm about to leave the bed and give up on it, I'll throw a few casts with a glide on it because it's like, okay, now we've given up on this fish. Let's see if maybe we can get him in the mouth.
Yeah, it's a fire back up because that's what I'll do.
I've had it happen, but I've also done a thing where, oh God, I don't even want to say this, but I've heard other people say it, so it like cat's out of the bag with it, kind of, I guess. I'll throw it on the bed 2 or 3 times and purposefully not let him eat it. Like if he goes to eat it, I'll just pull it out just to piss him off, and then I'll throw my flipping bait in after, and then he'll eat it right away.
Yeah.
But I will make sure that he does not eat the glide bait.
Right.
Even if he wants to.
Yeah. Just enough to get him riled up.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, sometimes they eat it and they got it in the mouth. I mean, I've caught bedfish on a glide and he's gotten in the mouth and everything's fine. It's just like, if I think I can catch him on something else, I'd prefer to catch him on something else because it's just lower risk.
Yeah. Or they eat it, they shake, now they're hooked on the outside. Then you're kind of like, well, he ate it, but what do you do there?
Exactly. So I'll do it if I have to, if it's like the only option, but I like to avoid it whenever possible.
I just like, I don't know. Being from the north, bed fishing's a whole other sketchy topic. We have our limited spawning window. It's not like down south when the bass are spawning for months. We have like, how long are the bass on beds up here? 2 months?
3
Not
days.
2 months. 2 weeks.
Depends where you're at. I mean, it moves, but it's 2, maybe 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, yeah. Whole other thing. But the one thing that we got to talk about now is how hard it is to beat Zub.
Not hard at all.
Unbelievably simple it is.
Did we talk about
to beat Zub?
Did we talk about Pasqua tank at all?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
We gave the new code word. Ford.
Chevy. Shout out to our loyal fan.
Andy's always in there.
Thank you, Andy. Do we see the Zub?
Oh, the claw.
How hard is it to beat Zub? Not hard at all. If you are in our wonderful
how many groups are you in?
Usually when you're good, it makes sense to be in a lot of groups. I'm not good.
I love how we made it beat Zub because we assumed that he was going to be the best, and he's by far the worst out of the 3 of us.
This is the worst year of fantasy fishing I've had in a genuinely long time.
Probably ever. It hasn't been a thing for that long, so.
Well, yeah, like I think this is the worst year I've ever had that I've like been remembering.
I have like fiberglass all in my forearm, and it's
it's like in my wrist today. It's really bad. It's like where you move, it's like prickly. But anyway, speaking of prickly, Lake Hartwell, we have a lot of different elements going on here. You know, you have the pre-spawn, you have some post-spawners. the tinkering of a shad spawn. You have some sight fishing and bed fishing. It's going to be a slugfest. You have peak Carolina fishing.
And you know what it all boils down to?
Is what?
Trey McKinney next.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, here.
It's kind of a stacked field, though, for Group A.
No, Bucket A is brutal because you got
a lot of good options. I mean,
run way up the Tougaloo. Like, John Cox can run way up the Tougaloo and smack largemouth all week. Will Davis Jr. can do that same thing. Bob Downey, Koya could unveil our new character.
Koya's going to throw something crazy.
He's a good pick. 6% is a steal. Mr.
Koya's
John Garrett.
So scary because he will randomly just mega bomb.
Oh, yeah, no, that too. But I can't see a Koya mega bomb here, but I don't know if I see a Koya top 10.
Koya mega bomb would be Pasquatank.
I love Trey McKinney here, right? Trey McKinney makes the most possible sense.
30%.
Other guys that make some possible sense are last week's one. I've never seen a last week winner be so low. Wow.
He just did pretty well on Norman.
And also not just a last week winner. Listen, I know it's a month later and all, but Kyle Welcher came within ounces beating Jason Christie at the Bassmaster Classic on this lake.
No, Kyle Welcher is an absolute animal on this lake. And just this environment in general. Kyle Welcher is so fine-tuned. Kyle Welcher also spent $10,000 on Japanese lures this year. But you know what the biggest steal of them all is? And I'll be completely honest here, is the man right above him. Bryant Smith is a Lake Shasta absolute sleeper.
Must be having a good year. He's in Bucket A. That's been a quiet year.
And he is an absolute. He has set entirely. He's taken the California spotted bass fishing and just thrown it to the moon. Now I'm still thinking about it, but because I had Trey originally picked for this, but I didn't realize Bryant was in here. Who are we going with, fellas?
I've said it before. I've said it again. I've beaten it to death. I'm never not picking Trey McKinney again, ever. I will.
Yeah.
I will. I'm not going to guarantee it because I know I'm going to go back on it, but I would be shocked if I don't pick Trey McKinney in every single tournament for the rest of the year.
No. He's just too good to bet against on that.
The only way that doesn't happen is when we get into Johnston season, if they're in the same bucket.
Yeah.
But still, it's like this bucket's still difficult because guys like Cody Meyer are going to catch him. Logan's even really good with spots. Shakurit's a scope master. Tyler Williams. Like
Jay Shakurit also having the quietest, insane season ever right now.
Yeah.
I think he's probably, based on the fact that Trey bombed the first tournament, I think Jay Shakurit's got to probably be the favorite for Angler of the Year right now.
Yeah. Right behind Johnny Boy.
Especially like being in second for AOI with like not even close to the Northern Swing yet. Like,
no.
You even have other picks. You got little Mr. Queen down there. He's not a bad option for this one.
KJ? KJ's not in Group A.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading Group B.
Well, here I'm gonna hold on with Bryant for now.
Wasn't
Well, here let's go to B because I need to make up ground. Let's be so for real.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make up some ground. Going on to B though, Atkins speaks out to me a little bit. That's a good one. Christie, he won the classic here. Different time of year,
very different.
But like. I don't feel Christie at home here. Christie's a phenomenal fisherman. I don't feel him here. But everybody's talking about the herring, the live scope. But what about the sight fishing? A guy like Drew Cook could have a really good tournament. A guy like Felix. Oh God, Taku at 5%. These are steals.
Do you know why he's at 5%?
Where is he?
Keep scrolling.
Who's in here?
Keep scrolling.
Hi, Pat.
Yeah. So
Another really good group.
Here's the problem.
44%.
So here's the problem here. All right. 44% crazy. Ridiculous.
Right.
Insane. Patrick Walters is winning this tournament.
Yeah.
Like it might as well not even happen. He is winning this tournament. And picking somebody at 44% makes me want to throw up all over the place.
But it's like it's too big to fail if you don't hop on the bus.
If you don't pick him, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
If he bombs, everyone bombs. If he
you're out of your mind.
Everyone's up there.
Because like it's got to be the most guaranteed top 10 ever.
Right. Until you think that him at Santee Cooper was a guaranteed top 10, but he tanked that one time.
Nah, but he said over and over again about the Santee Cooper. He's like, yeah, I live here. Yeah, I've been here a bunch of times. This isn't my lake. Hartwell and Murray.
Those are his juice.
Yep. Yeah. He just knows. Another, like, if you want to go off the crazy train, if you guys want to pick some people that wouldn't be seen, Brandon's gonna do okay. A rookie, Paul Marks.
Yeah.
Lanier guide, Lanier stick.
KJ Queen is hot also, by the way.
KJ is also hot. Had a good finish on Norman.
Big finish NPFL.
Tucker always did very well on Hartwell. Like, even a guy like Felix, I could see doing really well. Greg, I love you, buddy. Good luck.
You got a Jacob Founts in there. Always a good choice.
And Cifuentes, too, could dangle a pink worm in front of the right spots,
Absolutely.
It's
Atkins
tough to
mix, Justin Atkins has had very big tournaments here.
Oh, absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's just a clear winner. I hate to say it.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't ignore that.
If you don't pick him and he wins the tournament, like
you lost.
You're in a shoot.
You lost.
Season's over. 44% of people took him. That means 44% of people are going to get a winner point.
Right. No, it's like you have to take that.
Bucket C with my arch nemesis Drew Benton again.
My man, Drew Benton.
Drew's not a bad pick in this group. He's not. These are more like you see, these are guys that are probably going to rip the Tougaloo, trying to go on that bluegill spawn. Your largemouth fisherman, a guy that browses and can maybe get some sight fishing going on. And Mill calls out to me on this one. Another Lake Lanier hammer with some good spotted bass backgrounds.
He is my bucket C pick. He's who I am.
I like him. Jordan Lee's always a safe pick, but like there's guys in here like Cherry's having a rough year. Hamner. Hamner's at 22. He got some good pool. Yeah. For here, in my opinion, unless you know someone's definitely on like a largemouth pattern or something like that, you would go with Benton. But Hamner and a Mill.
Hamner's picking back up steam too.
Hamner's.
He started off a little slow, but his momentum's going right now.
He's coming into his own. What do you got, Brent?
I don't know. I kind of like a Drew Benton just to bet against Alex because sometimes that works pretty well.
Lots of times,
yeah. I mean, it's either him or Jordan Lee for me. It's gonna be an overnight. Gotta sleep on it.
Speaking of sleeping on it, we had a clash with the Titans right here, right out of the gate, because everything Bassmaster Fantasy. Before Patrick Walters was Patrick Walters, you had Brandon Cobb.
Yeah.
And you thought he was the king of Hartwell.
But this group also poses another problem.
Right. A slow start Beaston coming into his own.
So
37%.
I have some inside information.
Oh.
And this is the type of tip you only get from Bums Talk Bass.
Right.
I know the way I set that up makes it sound like a joke. I'm being dead serious with this. I got some down low info, and this is a true fact. Easton Fothergill, if you ask him what his favorite bass fishing lake in the world is, his answer is Lake Hartwell.
Oh.
Easton Fothergill's favorite lake is Lake Hartwell.
Well, he's about to go up to 37% and higher.
I just thought that was interesting.
With that, Tim Doob.
Doobie! Doobinator!
Oh, it's Doobin time.
Shout out to Andy, Doobinator.
No, I mean, it's a tough call because, you have the history of Cobb, but you have the hotness of Easton. And Cobb's having a rough year, and I love Cobb. If you have some sight fish, you have that shad spawn.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if fish are shallow, Brandon Cobb's a problem.
Yeah.
Big.
But I went with my inside tip. We'll see how it goes for me.
I mean, you got to go with either.
Easton in a bucket D is like, dude, especially knowing what, because I don't know, he could catch them if they're shallow too, but he could also catch them if they're deep. I just feel like it's a little more versatile.
Yeah. I mean, you got to pick one of them. Cobb or Fothergill. There's no other options in this group because.
What do you mean? The Doobinator's looking right at you, Brennan.
It's all about percentages, my guy. It's all about.
But I mean, if we're actually
no Ray Hanselman, I mean,
possible options. Cody isn't a bad pick. I can see Cody getting a sneaky top 10 out of this.
I could. I'm waiting for Rob G to get hot. He's had a quiet year.
Is this a schlapper tournament?
I'm waiting for Pat to schlap,
And I mean, Rob G almost won on Smith last year. Very good scope guy. Very good spotted bath. Not bath. Bath. I'm taking a warm bath. No, bass.
Say it's so aggressive. God.
Because I'm angry.
Shout out Jonathan Kelly. Good luck. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't the Beast and Cobb group, I'm probably going Rob G here.
Yeah, if it wasn't Beast and Cobb, I'm going.
I mean, my guy Pat Schlapper.
Huff. I'd go Huff if it wasn't Beast and Cobb, or maybe even a JT.
JT probably, probably is going to do well in this tournament.
Not a bad bet.
Going on to the last but not least.
This is an interesting group.
It is. Say how the guy like out of the gun, because people always forget about the largemouth element of Lake Hartwell, but it's a huge thing, especially if you know that Tougaloo River very well. Guys like Erie and Fraser can do very well.
Absolutely.
You go shad spawn. Someone who loves a shad spawn, a ring spawn, is a man like Greg Hackney. And this is one element that we didn't talk about earlier. We're talking about, baits we'll see. Is that really big multi-bladed spinner bait is such a killer thing. Now, I mean, that's a little better for like a thread fin spawn or like when there's a smaller bait fish. But Hack knows how to pick apart a shad spawn.
Absolutely.
If that's going down, he will find
one of the best spinner bait slingers of all time.
Shout out Greg Hackney.
Andrew
Lober, you're supposed to be really good.
Supposed to be. Howell could do okay to stop history. Milliken, maybe if he gets a new bilge pump. Jason Williamson. I don't hate that pick. He also has been had a big tournament at Norman too, I believe, right?
He did.
And I also think he did. Didn't he do pretty good at the Pasqua tank? I think he had a good finish.
He did have a good finish. I think he top 10 actually.
I think he wound up not making the top 10 on the 4th day, but he was in the top 10 for most of the event, I believe.
I remember seeing him. I'm pretty sure I saw him on the last day getting some pictures, though.
I remember seeing him in the top 10 leaderboard, but he definitely wasn't on camera. So.
Probably on the.
Well, who do you got in here, Big Boss?
Oh, yeah, no, not even close, actually.
No. Yikes. What,
he didn't even make the cut.
Oh.
Did he just have a big first day, maybe?
He must have had a big first
they just
day.
Stick him on camera day one? No.
Yeah, he had 16-13 on day one, and then had a bad day too and barely missed the cut. But anyway, I took one off a feel. I just took a guy who I think is a really, really good fisherman and has been having a bit of an off year. And this is probably a good chance for a bounce back. I went with my guy, Wesley Gore.
Don't hate that.
He's an Alabama guy. He knows spots well. He's a good scoper, but he's also a good, like, get up shallow, sling a swim jig around type of guy.
He's
like
a good Alabama swim jig and get after it kind of guy.
Yeah, and he's very dialed with scope, and he knows spotted bass. So I think he's due for a turnaround. He's had a oddly tough season. So I like him here.
I chose a guy that's not been doing any too hot either. Well, same thing. Just feels like he's going to do well. Little Mr. Paul Mueller. He's kind of got he's decent at scope, I think. He's kind of got that like up north. I don't know. He's pretty. Yeah, he's got that kind of like a little offshore, a little inshore.
Really good at catching something. Really good at catching.
Big crappy guy.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like he's due for something.
I'm just remembering that Loberg had an absolutely stellar open season and is one of the people that really picked apart that spotted bass bite on Gunnersville, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Time in the money. Where do you like to get paid, Mr. Loberg? Lake Hartwell. Oh, never mind. That's Lake Martin. Ugh. But still, spots. Up north, you like the Mississippi. You really like Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma. Oh, I'm sorry. Lake Ouachita? Ugh. Get away. Arkansas. Ugh.
That'd be a cool one to go to.
No.
I just want to go out that way. Fish those.
No, you don't. You've been there.
It seems
You've been
cool.
out that way.
Grand Lake doesn't count.
We are not going past the Mississippi ever again. Ever. I mean, Alex probably is next year, but like,
Bums Talk Bass takes on.
We are the best podcast this side of the Mississippi because the other side doesn't count.
There's no bass fishing over there. That's all fake.
Hey, listen,
what, did I just
I've had one really, really good week west of the Mississippi, and I've had two really, really bad weeks west of the Mississippi. So that's all I got for you. I think Red River in June, everybody has a bad week, but
yeah. Anyway, Bums Talk Bass, it is up to you to drain your lake. Don't forget it. Drain your lakes in the winter. Pick your top 8. But let's go with the tiebreaker. How are we thinking this week, boys?
So that's what I was going to say to you. What is like? I mean, I know obviously we can get into the 20s on Hartwell for like a day, but no, I don't think anybody's breaking 24 days in a row, right?
I think they're breaking 24 days in a row. I think it's going to be a 20 average with a day between 22 and 24.
Because I'm feeling like some big largemouth mixed into everyone's bag. Like someone's cashing.
I don't think you guys
fee
realize how
of Shella.
like plentiful the 4-pound spots are in Hartwell right now. Like the 4, 5, 6-pound spots.
You think?
I guess not.
I'm thinking a bunch of 3-pound spots and like
the big.
but
The spotted dogs. Spotopotamus.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the Elite Series always winds up taking more than you think it will, but I don't know.
Costco tank.
Yeah, I just feel like I have a. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that somebody like clears 24 days in a row.
I don't know. I'm setting it 84-4.
I'm going 89-6.
Oh, well, big up.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, my weight's in the 70s. I have 76.
Oh.
So
that's gonna get shattered.
We'll find out.
I'm sticking to it.
Ooh, 2.5 inch First City Mayor. Let's do some pick'ems. Let's pick 'em.
I love the pick'ems.
All right. Past Hartwell Classic champs. I'm going Jordan Lee.
Yeah.
How you like
When
Jordan
was the
Lee
Classic? What time of the year was the Classic he won on Hartwell? That was like early, mid-March.
Late March.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that that the winner of the Major League Fishing tournament, the Invitational this year, that was on Hartwell, a little less than a month ago, I believe. The winner never broke 20 pounds. Any of the days.
That's why you're fishing the elites now, baby.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Over 80 seems like a stretch to me. Guys are going to do it for a couple days, but I don't know.
Patty Walt is going to quit the Century Club this week.
No, he's not.
Patty's going to pull that Texas little secret, blow up.
Patty's going to throw the eco, not the eco. He's going to throw the darter around and dart his way up the leaderboard and dart my fantasy back into survival mode. Back up to deuces. AOY tie. Oh, I did not know this. I did not know there was a tie.
Oh, me neither.
No.
Huh. Oh, well.
I feel like
second coming of KVD. Mr. Spectacle is John Garrett.
I would have to do the odds.
So tough. Clemson versus Carolina?
I don't think it's that tough. Yeah, that also doesn't make any sense. Clemson is Carolina.
Well, no. Patrick Walters fished for USC. And Cobb fished for Clemson.
Oh, whatever. Patrick Walters next.
Herring Masters. I'm going to go with my boy Paul.
I'm going to go with Emil just because I picked him, but who knows?
I would have picked Paul if he was in a different bucket.
Yeah.
Previous 2 elite champs.
Well, true.
Yeah, I like Kyle. He's just
here.
He's burning.
Or just
hot.
In general.
He's just burning hot.
Yeah.
No, but like this matchup.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's on fire. Well,
but when did Polnick win here? Or when did Welch?
Previous 2.
Oh, come on, Zub.
Pasquatank and Okeechobee.
Oh.
Zub.
I was.
What?
There you go.
I need another Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
You need 8 less of those.
Hi, Brandon. Hi.
Red wine.
Another random roommate rumble of 2 people. Nobody.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alex. Red wine.
Roommates. Nobody ever had any idea those 2 were roommates.
Oh, I knew they were roommates. Anyway, you not follow the lore. You're not a true. You don't follow just normal people's personal lives and make them their own business. Wow, how normy of you. Sophomore standoff. I think Tyler Williams is going to crack a 7-pound spot on the same ridiculous football jig because I think Tyler Williams is actually the second coming of what's his name? Christian, whatever the fuck, Tyler Christian. What was his name?
Tony Christian.
Tony Christian. Tyler Williams is the second coming of Tony Christian because Tyler Williams is all he is for that jig. What's he throwing the jig at?
He is Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
He came back this week. Shout out Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Big
Shout
ups
out
to
Pope
him.
Francis. Anyway. Fellas, I'm so excited to all reunite on the Chesapeake Bay and have some wonderful, wonderful footage.
You need to find me a partner for the Chesapeake Bay.
I'll throw you like 10 doubloons for your entry fee. I'll bring you I'll bring you a Wawa in the morning and pay your ramp fee.
Are Brendan and Tony going?
Yeah.
I thought so.
I thought he was fishing the James.
Actually, I don't know anymore, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't even have a truck right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we got to figure that out. Anyway, his truck blowing up might have earned you a partner, but.
True.
That's true, too.
Drive down another Ford.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'll see you there. We'll find you a guy.
Your boy's getting ready. I got to actually break rods. I don't have anything. I have nothing tied on.
Figure it out.
Not good. That'll be a Sunday morning sitting at the ramp problem.
You literally have 5 days to do that.
Yeah.
You have 5 days to tie on 2 different lures.
It's going to be Sunday morning. It's going to be Sunday morning.
For the first time, I think I'm going to have like maybe 3 different presentations.
I'm not gonna get into it on a recorded podcast, but the way Brennan operates makes me want to actually like split my head into 87 pieces because he conjures up excuses that don't even actually exist. But anyway, while you pretend to be doing something, I'm gonna go fishing all day tomorrow. So, all right,
there you go.
All right. Hopefully we have a wonderful episode for you guys next week. Thanks for being here with us this week. And hopefully we learned something about how wrong we all were.
Yeah, unfortunately I won't be, well, none of us will be watching Championship Sunday because we're going to be having our own Championship Sunday. So
damn right. We'll be cracking 25 pounds on the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, we'll see you next week to let you guys know about how none of us caught a limit. Okay, bye.
Bye.